Okay, so I've imported the office scene clips here. Um, so let's talk about organizing our footage. Now, the first thing to talk about is this isn't actually very much footage. When you're editing projects, and you guys already know this, you get so much footage and it can be completely overwhelming, which is why you need it to be organized. I also strongly believe, and that's why these lessons are divided up this way, you, especially when you're doing it yourself, you kind of need to switch hats. And I think you need to switch hats when you can afford it uh, on different days. So, or at least different sittings. Like if in the morning you're going to go through and edit, if you're in the morning, you're going to go through and organize all this footage and subclip it, don't edit it immediately after. Like go, have lunch, chill out, clear your mind, and then come back and start going through it and looking for good for performance and cutting it together. You can't cram editing. You just need time. All right. So that's why the stuff I'm going to talk to you today, you really don't even need to or necessarily want to closely watch the clips. You're acting just as the assistant editor. So you just need enough information to subclip it and log it by putting in information. All right. And I suggest you kind of get into that habit so that you break it up. So you don't try to just do it all at once because usually the results aren't as good. Okay, so let's talk about the project window. And I'm going to blow it up by pushing the tilde key over here next to the number 1. Boop. Any window in Adobe, anything, if you want to make it go full screen, you just click that key. So there it's small, there it's big. Oops, there it's small, there it's big. So here I've got office scene. So we're going to go in there. And there are all my clips. And I'm going to want to organize all of this into bins. Now I'm going to create a new bin, and I know I'm going to want a sequence bin. I know I'm going to want a video bin. I know I'm going to want an audio bin when you bring your music in that you're going to pick. And maybe from there you go on to things like graphics. But for right now, let's stick to video, sequences, audio. And all these reels ultimately are going to be cut down and put into the video bin. Now, before we do that, there's one other thing I like to do in my particular project window. Some people like list view, some people like icon view, some people like different things. I personally like kind of a combination, which is list view, but then I go up and I click on these 3 little lines on my tab, and it gives me more options, and I say thumbnails. And then I expand that so I have big thumbnails. This is personally what I like. I get my thumbnail. It's not as big as I wish it was, but I get my thumbnail, I get my naming column, and then I get all these other columns. That's what I tend to use. Now, today we're going to be talking about this scene, okay? And this came from a very long film with multiple scenes, but we're only going to do one scene today, so it'll make our lives a little bit easier. But I do want to raise the point that you should organize the footage in your project window, the video footage, right, by scene. So here's scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, or maybe you haven't numbered them that way, so it's like here's the exterior scene, here's the living room scene, here's the bedroom scene, or whatever. But you should organize it by scene, and then within the scene bin, you should organize it by shot or character. And we'll get into that here in just a minute once we start subclipping. But I just want to make the point that all the way down through the scenes, through the shots, organization is essential. Doing it is not always fun. this week is, assistant editing work isn't necessarily creative or super fun, but doing it well allows you to be super creative and fun later. So when you're cutting this together, you will do a better job editing, and your mind will be free to think of new and creative ideas if, when you look in your project window, you see everything there that you need, right? I sometimes use the analogy of, like, imagine a painter who has their palette, they're holding their palette of paint in their hands, and on that palette of paint, I don't know, they've got 15 different shades of colors. And they look at the colors and they, I want to paint with blue, and they touch the blue paint and they use it. That's great. And off they are going and running. A disorganized bin with all of your footage is like if that artist took a cloth and covered up their palette. And when they wanted to paint, they reached their brush under the palette and hoped they got the right color, and didn't know until they came out and painted with that color to realize, oh no, I wanted blue, that's red. Let me go back and see if I can find blue. Oh no, that's pink. That's what you're doing if when I look in your project window, I just see reel 1, reel 2, reel 3, or untitled 1, clip 2, clip 3. That means every time when you're editing that you're reaching for one of those shots, you're the painter reaching for a different color, you can't do it. You've got to stop, rewatch the clips, do this, rethink, and that's slowing you down. That's making editing no fun, and it's the worst thing of all, it's inefficient, because then you're redoing the same task over and over and over, right? You already watched this clip. You already know who's in this clip. If you log it right now, you'll never have to do that job again. But if you don't, every time you come back here, you'll have to redo that work. And that's going to slow you down and make this whole experience less pleasant for you. So take the logging seriously, organize it. It's not the most fun right now, but believe me, it'll make your lives so much better later, and you'll enjoy the editing process much more. Okay, one more thing I want to talk about with the project window. It's more than just a window, right? It's a database. And it's a powerful database that we should take advantage of. And I'm going to teach you how to do that now if you don't already know how. So here's what we're going to do, and I want to see this in the screen grabs and things you send me. So we've got our thumbnail, and then here we've got our name, which we know we can change, and we will shortly. Now, the next column here is frame rate, which is useful, but not super relevant to us right now, and I want that to be something different. I want that to be take number, okay? So is it take 1, take 2, take 3? And I'm looking across at these columns, and I see lots of useful column headings, but I don't see take number. So here's how you find additional columns or create your own columns. So here's what you do. You hover over a column heading, any heading, and you right click and you say metadata display. Metadata is just these column names. Metadata display opens up all these preset metadata columns that you could choose from, right? All of this stuff. And you just click and that column will be created. All right, and there's endless things here. You can totally get overwhelmed by that. Fortunately, there's also search. So I'm going to just type take. Haha, it was in dynamic media. So I'm just going to click take number, say okay. And now if I scroll along here, there it is, take number. It's not much use to me over to the right, so I'm going to grab it and drag it. Boo, 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 boo. Right there. So now I'm going to have my name of my clip, and then I can put my take number here, and it'll organize them by take number. Additionally to that, I want something I can write in, notes. So I'm going to go get log note. You could do description or something else, but I'm going to take a log note and bring it over here. I'm also going to kind of expand that in case I need to type in longer notes. Okay, so thumbnail, name, take number, which I could actually shrink a little, and then log notes where I can type in notes. We'll talk about that later. This is my basic layout that I tend to use. Maybe you come up with your own unique one that you prefer. If you can document it and explain to me why you like yours, that's cool. I just want to show you what I do.